Hi and welcome back to the channel. We are continuing 1899. This is season 1 episode 6 titled The Pyramid. And before we get into it, this video is once again sponsored by Movie Palette. You see this beautiful thing in the background. It's a movie painting. Every line represents a scene. Every color in that line represents the dominant color in that scene. You can get many like it over at moviepalette.com. There's a link down in the description below. Remember to use the code SPIDER15 to get 15% off of your purchase. So yeah, buy something beautiful for yourself or for someone you know, someone you love, for the holidays, for Christmas, as a present. In that way you can also support the channel and again have something beautiful to hang on your wall or give to someone so that they can hang it on their wall. That was a lot of la-di-da-di-da-di-da. So just thank you so much to Movie Palette for sponsoring this video. Are you ready to continue this crazy and weird journey?
Yes.
The last one was just absolutely bonkers. So much happened. It was difficult to talk about almost afterwards because we had so many questions. And with the title of this one, The Pyramid, hopefully we're going to learn more about that, because that was where we ended, was just Henry Singleton looking out the window at this big black pyramid where maybe everything is taking place inside of it or whatever is going on. I really hope we do get just a few answers. I know we've learned from Dark that we're not going to get all the answers until the very end, but maybe
even then you won't get all the answers.
No, exactly. But maybe just a few. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Like, comment, all that good stuff. Check out the Patreon. That's where you can really support the channel and you can watch full-length reactions and some other stuff over there as well. Now, let's get into it. This is, as I said, Season 1, Episode 6, The Pyramid. Here we go.
Okay.
We're finally gonna learn more about the Danes.
This is pre-pregnancy.
Yeah, so this is in Denmark. Looks like a Danish wood, I guess. Danish wood? Danish forest?
We need to find land. We have to split up. Oleg, Franz, der Maschinenraum. Feuert die Öfen an. We need to search for survivors. Mrs. Wilson, you're in charge of that. Take the women with you. If we want to survive this, we need to trust each other.
Okay, that's a plan, I guess. Why split people up like that?
You know what happens when you split people up in
Anything sort of horror related, or at least
thriller,
mystery.
they tend to disappear.
Okay.
Yes.
I have absolutely no idea.
Why didn't you tell them that I was some other captain of the Prometheus? None of this makes any sense.
Thank you for not thinking I'm crazy.
What's this then?
You better get going.
No time for that.
Du herude. Stop.
Maybe it'll be faster if we split up. You two go down there. We'll go down here.
Split, but it's still splitting up in weird ways. Like now, even with like Mrs. Wilson and Eben going in one direction, and then because they don't speak the same language, like split up so that you can communicate.
Well, Mrs. Wilson can speak a lot of languages.
Danish?
Perhaps. We don't know. We haven't seen it, right?
Por favor, ¿alguien me puede explicar qué coño está pasando?
I feel the same way. Do you know what it is?
Are you allowed to touch it? Ah, nasty sounds.
Yeah.
Maybe this is some kind of dream.
Well, who's dreaming it then? You or me?
both.
Collectiveness, like collectively.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Somehow it might be some sort of like collective dream experiments.
A bit like Inception.
Perhaps.
Je t'admire. T'as l'air si forte. Si libre.
Hands.
Tu sais ce qu'on dit? Que les hommes ont inventé les robes et les talons pour que les femmes puissent pas s'enfuir.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's so cool. Wow. I love that.
The look?
Yeah.
I must go up foot court.
Oh no.
Oh, please don't let anything happen to him.
He does not want to
你以為我會同佢哋留喺下面？
yeah, stay with them.
傻嘅咩？
Alright. I wouldn't say I didn't see this coming, but
你同其他男仔好。
Apparently there is time for romance, even in a situation like this.
are they not cold? It looks cold. Ugh. I'm cold just looking at them.
My father built this for my mother.
Huh?
First she just started to forget things, and then she started to forget our names. Eventually us. My father, he resented us for it.
Oh, wow.
Wanted her to get better. He wanted to learn how the human brain worked. How to repair it if damaged.
Well, that does explain some things when it comes to Henry Singleton.
Sure. Like his motives. And
Yeah. Where the obsession comes from. It is rooted in, well, love and caring for someone, as it usually does.
It looks like the ship's hull.
3 doors? Or are there more doors?
That's a window, isn't it?
Is it a window?
Jeg vil egentlig ikke være præst. Jeg var bonde. Så min far før mig, og hans far før ham. Og vi havde ikke mange penge, men vi var lykkelige. Men så skete der noget. Og bagefter begyndte Iben, kone, at høre Guds stemme. Det gav en håb. Når alt virkede håbløst, og jeg ønskede så brændende at mærke det samme håb. Men jeg er en løgner. Jeg har aldrig hørt hans stemme. Og hvis jeg skal være ærlig, så tror jeg ikke, han eksisterer.
Those are 2 priests that are just
Not really.
not really priests, yeah.
Even though they don't understand each other, they can bring each other some comfort, at least.
Language is only like what? 7% of
Communication?
yeah. Or is it 15? I can't remember. Small part.
Gud skriver vores historie. Jeg kan ikke gøre andet end acceptere hans valg. Alt hvad der sker, er en del af hans plan.
Yes, you probably didn't understand a word of that. Don't touch it. 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 Oh no, shit.
What's gonna happen to her now?
Cut it off. Oh, whoa, it is growing fast. What the hell is this? Time to go back into your past. Yep. It's kind of refreshing with like scenes that aren't dark as fuck.
Yeah. That looks,
Very Danish.
yeah, a lot more.
Frozen in place. Who is this guy?
I And Krista does not have a sky.
Jeg har ventet på dig.
Ah, that's how it happened.
That's who they killed or she killed.
Most likely. Okay. What is he going to do? He's one of the few people here who might actually know what is going on. Okay. So you can both get teleported like, in and out of that.
Yeah.
Tu tiens le coup.
No!
Je te laisse un moment. Je vais chercher les autres. Ok. Cristal,
He's gonna be bloody. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Kan du huske mig?
Vi skal nok finde en løsning på det. Vi skal nok finde en løsning på det her.
What happened?
Jeg kan ikke have folk, der arbejder for mig på min jord, som ikke har nogen værdier.
Oh, that's who he is.
Du rørte ved min søn og tog hans uskyld.
Oh.
Og nu tager jeg noget, der tilhører jer alle.
Yep.
Oh, man, this really got uncomfortable.
How did... Why is she bloody?
What happened? Why? Yeah, why? Where's the blood coming from? Wow. That was hard to watch.
Skal der stamme festen nogen? Hvem styrer skibet? Så ham, der gik lige før. Burde han ikke være her og styre skibet?
Det er så fra det kvæms.
Why are we so going? Just gonna read up on it. Learn how to steer a ship real quick.
Queres aprender a conduzir um navio a vapor a ler um livro? Se não vai resultar.
It's in German, right?
I reckon.
Alle siden er dækket det der. Står ikke andet.
What?
O que isto quer dizer? Maior café kikin for reality das.
What?
That's how I feel sometimes.
Every morning.
Shame I don't drink coffee.
At the moment, no.
At the moment.
How much longer? Approximately 48 hours for the transfer. And the boy?
Oh, he's a crazy scientist, huh?
People are oblivious to reality. They only see what they want to see, imprisoned by their mind's restrictions. And all they have to do is shift their perspective to see the full scope of things.
This doesn't make me less confused. Don't touch.
Don't get any closer to it. What are you doing here?
Don't you remember who I am?
Stop!
Just let the man explain.
Move.
Move where?
Please, you have to remember.
Move!
Don't just move him, tell him to explain. Fuck. Oh shit.
I can explain. Just give me a chance to explain.
Yes, just give the man a chance.
Please, you have to.
Stay where you are.
Don't you know who I am? We got married 12 years ago.
This is one of his games. You are working for my father.
Please, I know that you know. Look around you.
That thing. Drop it. Get him now.
One guy who can finally explain things to you and you lock him up.
I know that you're here watching me. Where are you?
No. Oh yeah, he's definitely watching. Okay. What happens if you break the glass?
Wow, she.
Or do that. Okay.
She's strong.
So that's the hall again.
So this is inside the ship. Or.
I don't know what the fuck this is. What do you want? You must be freaking the fuck out. Like, no one could just tell someone. There's some good music in this show.
Same with Dag, right? I mean, it was like
Yeah.
some great music, some great scoring as well.
There's way more like really well-known tracks in this one.
There's been a few, right?
So he's back on the Prometheus. Wait. There are so many. Not a lot of answers at all.
A little bit.
Yeah, very few. Like when it comes to like learning more about some of the characters, but learning more about what's really going on, or how and why necessary, or maybe a little bit of the why. And shit. So all right, let's try to break it down. What did we learn in this episode?
Just so confused. But I just quickly off the bat, I noticed that the story was written by Jantje. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but her, and then
Directed?
No, and a Dane.
Ah, okay. So
Yeah,
it's a co-writer. Yeah, a Danish co-writer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I haven't noticed it with the others, to be fairly honest.
Maybe
but
it's mostly this one because we did get more stuff on the Danes and we learned more about them. And
yeah. But what I meant was just that I didn't notice if there are co-writers on the other episodes, and if those co-writers, if, for example, if one of them was French, or if one of them was, I can't remember, like if one of them was Chinese or Cantonese.
Cantonese, yeah.
So, yeah, it's I just noticed that at least there was a
yeah,
and it makes sense in regards to, well, this was focused around the Danes, and for some reason I know that a lot of people have died in the other flashbacks or whatever flashes or whatever. It seems like this one was definitely more brutal in a way. It felt at least more.
Yeah, it was
hard to watch.
Really tough to watch because yes, of course, there was death involved, but also rape and in front of your family, and just like at this point in time where they're from. And in Denmark, like he was the owner or whatever you want to say, like the man in
landowner.
Yeah, the landowner, where they were living, which was a fairly usual thing for a long while in Denmark, that there were these, for lack of a better term, like lords. It has and now I can't even remember like the Danish term for.
Fool?
Yes, yeah. Danish term for someone like that, who is the landowner, and surely like he saw them somewhat as his property because they were,
or at least as subordinates.
His subordinates, or the beneath him.
Yeah.
And he blamed Kresta for taking his son's innocence, and yeah, we can all, we all know what that means. And of course that's that's not something that sits well with him. Might have been different if it was Tove, because this is a different time, or maybe I don't know. But either way, he thought that, okay, you took something from me, so I'm gonna take something from you. And that's so that's how Tove got pregnant, and it's just terrible to think about.
But there's a thing that confuses me, because Eben said that she was Eben has this delusion that it's God's child.
I think she has, because we also got from, what the father's name is Anka. Yes, yeah. That, something happened, and then she sort of like she kind of just lost it, and since then she's been hearing voices and telling herself and others that it was God's voice, and she is a firm believer of like whatever happens, like it's God's plan. He must have a plan for us. So I think it's like it's her way of convincing herself that even this horrible thing that happened, there must be like something good must come of it. Like it must be God's plan that this happened. Therefore, it's God's child. Like no matter how horrible the circumstances and how it happened, like there must be something to it. It must be his grand plan that this happened because we're going to benefit from it in the future, or something like you've been chosen.
Perhaps it's just a defense mechanism. That this horrible thing that happened to her right in front of her eyes, that she's, as you say, trying to make sense of it, and the way she can make sense of it is through
God.
Yeah. But it's still like, what, 3 people witnessing this, and yet, and they just playing into her delusion, because it seems like Anka definitely believed Eden as well, like that.
Or he wanted to.
Yeah, at least he wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It just struck me as a bit weird that if she was so adamant or so determined that this was God's child, but she saw how it was conceived. It's just...
Yeah, we've talked about her convictions before, and how she's so sure of this, even though it might be like it's delusions.
Yeah,
but and Anker is so doubtful, and we even got in this one that like he probably didn't even want to become a priest, and he doesn't. Yeah, he was a farmer, and doesn't even really believe that God exists necessarily, but he wants to, just like his wife even, believe that maybe there is a meaning to all of this somehow. And I guess like that is, as you said, like a typical human defense mechanism, that when something terrible happens, we can try to convince ourselves that it happened for a reason, or that's a way to cope with it, at least.
Or at least, blocking out the horrible thing that happened, and then somewhat trying to make sense of it. It could also be one of the many experiments with this guy who's trying to, that it's part of his experiment, that this very flawed human, or at least this very broken human, how it's also very interesting how our mind works in that regards. Like the way that sometimes your mind will make up its own reality to cover for something traumatic.
Oh yeah, certainly. Like brain, like the mind and reality and perspectives, like that's a big thing inside of this series, and something that Henry Singleton also talked about when we saw him in that one scene, and it's all about shifting perspectives, and even certainly shifted her perspective there from this horrible act into something that it must be a good thing.
Yeah.
It must be destined. You must be chosen.
It's even though I feel like it was nicely acted and everything.
The acting's great.
It's just again it takes me out of the immersion because it feels like the way they speak. It doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem like how Danes would actually talk, and not even like in regards to what they spoke like back in the 1899. But in general, just it seems somewhat off-putting the way they're speaking, because it feels and I've talked about this many times before, but this whole like in Danish we usually eat a lot of the sounds and words or parts of the words.
Tend to mumble a lot. Or
also
at least,
mumble, but the way that we just eat a lot of the words, and especially if you're from this part of the country, we eat a lot of words, or parts of words, and whole, So it just seems so almost staccato, like it takes me out of the immersion. So even though it's not bad acting, it's just that it takes me out of it. And even though they had a Danish writer, I'm just so confused. Like, it feels like you would never say it like that, but it's just me. I know it's just me.
Maybe not.
All that aside, we got like the Danish backstory told a little bit more, at least. A lot of it. Still a lot of questions left. Because we also got into a little bit with Henry Singleton. Maura talked about his motivations. He loved his wife very much, and she just became kind of a shell of herself after the two births. Maybe it was some sort of neurodegenerative disorder like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Parkinson's does not make you
dementia?
Forget things. Dementia. It's
okay.
At least could be very early form. That because it progresses. If it's very early on, it's progressing pretty fast. Contra to if you're old, and then you get Alzheimer's, for example. And it's also it's just those very progressive types of dementia. It's horrible, especially as a caregiver. And it kind of drove him down a path of blaming his children for it. How he got from blaming his children to straight out making experiments on him, that's a bit weird. But I think perhaps that's also why Daniel is trying to get Maura out of there. And that's his whole part of this. He's trying to get her out of there somehow. Because we got it confirmed that they were married.
Yeah, one of the other things that we learned. Or got, as you said, confirmed. As we've talked about it. One of our theories that they used to be married. And they got married 13 years ago? 12 years ago? But yeah, a number of years ago. They got married. And now he's trying to save her. So our perception of him as a character has certainly shifted from when we started this, where he seemed more like a villain and sort of killing people on board, or at least orchestrating that and using the scarabs. But now he's turned more into like someone we can perhaps root for, I guess. Like it's difficult to say because we know so so little about what's really going on. So it's hard to not. We can definitely attach ourselves to the characters and feel for them, but it's difficult to pinpoint. Okay, who should we actually root for? But we can probably for certain say that we're rooting against Henry Singleton and these experiments, because that seems absolutely horrible what he's doing. But no matter the reason, but it's more of a question of like, yeah, how is he doing all of this is a big one for me. Like what even is this? How did he come across this reality bending thing that he's doing? This big pyramid, and why does he need the smaller pyramid? Why does he need the boy? Who is the boy?
Yeah, we still have those questions, like main questions, like who is the boy especially. I still think it's the kid between like Morris and Daniel's kid.
Yeah.
But why he's important, we don't know.
Yes.
And well, why does he need the smaller pyramid is possibly because it's a key, and you would need that key to open perhaps the bigger pyramid. I don't know. But like I think we've been speculating about this as well.
Yeah.
I still think that at least I think the smaller pyramid or the tetrahedron is a key to the big pyramid. And what's inside the pyramid? Perhaps it's all the ships.
What is the end goal? Like, how much of this does he actually control? How much of it is something that he found and then used, or what did he create this somehow? And
why is he using all these people? Like all these people that we're learning about. How do they play into this huge thing? Like we know he's doing experiments.
Yes.
On him, and he watches them
on several screens.
But I think that's. I think they're all like they're separated into like, so it's not the same person or the same scenery that he sees, but in like 6 different. It's the different people, right, on the screens.
Yeah. Like he's monitoring them individually
at the same time.
Exactly. But again, why? How do they factor into it? Why are they important to his experiments? What is he really trying to achieve? We keep asking that question, but that is the big one.
Yeah, and what if we are seeing it wrong right now, and we also need to shift our perspective, and perhaps he's actually doing something good. It wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think that's the way it's going, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because we've already, as we just established, shifted our perspective when it comes to Daniel.
Yeah.
So will we in the future shift our perspective when it comes to Henry and not see him as the big bad or someone who's trying to harm people by experimenting on them?
Yeah.
But he's actually trying to achieve something good, or at least maybe just like even he has convinced himself that what he's trying to do is something good, because it does stem from a trauma related to a loved one, and he probably wanted to like heal his wife or wanted her to get better, and for her to get better he needed to get a better understanding of the mind and how it works, and this is the only way he can do that, or is he's
There's a lot of it's just it's very confusing, and we know that there are other ships. He's continuously seeing sink ship. That's what he's conveying to them. And then we saw all the ships.
We thought there were only 3 ships, because that's what they told us before, that the company bought 3 ships. But now here at the very end, when Ike was on the Prometheus again, somehow he looked out the window and it's just a sea of ships, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. So this experiment, it seems like it's going wrong, or it's just going over and over, like in this, like the same again and again and again, because they're like different ships, and he's just like, when it seems like it's going wrong, or if they learned something or something,
they start the experiment over again
on a new ship,
and then we also have like the hull of ships appearing behind windows and behind reality or like whatever happened when Mora, cracked the, I don't know what to call it, but that crack.
The layer of reality? Or...
Yeah. And opened it up and boom, there's the hull of a ship again. And why ships? Why are they so important? Like what is the significance there?
I know that again with the crazy theories. But I couldn't help but wonder, since we learned that Mora took her mother's name, Mora Franklin, instead of Mora Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but think if Mora is actually her mother, I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, and that Daniel is actually the father, but...
So Daniel is actually Henry, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I know that it's there's just something about why would she use her mother's name? Because we didn't get that explained. Why would she use her mother's name?
To distance herself from her father because she hates him, or I don't know.
Yeah, but that's just that when they don't explain things, when they just and that's just a thing I have in general. If you throw out an information,
there must be a reason to
there
it.
must, and well, it's the same if you write like a paper or something, and you just say like, and you supply some sort of information, then you have to use that, like you have to have a meaning for that, a point for that, like you have to use it for something. And for this, it's like if they just throw out stuff and don't explain it, it's like. But then what do we need this information for, Because it seems important somehow. And how is like with Ike as well? Because it seems like they're building some sort of relationship between Mora and Ike.
Yeah, is that part of the experiment, or is that just happening
spontaneously?
Yeah, even in the middle of all of this, there is some sort of romance going on between some of the characters. And then we also have this weird growth protruding everywhere from the ships and even in the mental hospital. And don't touch it. Just don't fucking touch it. But someone did. Mrs. Wilson. And
maybe she's getting it's coming to her.
I don't know. But her hand is turning black. And I don't know how fast that is going to spread. I don't know why she's not telling anyone, because I would be like, fuck, guys, do you have like any input? What should I do? Should I cut my hand off? Like, It's just, I don't know why she's not saying anything and just keeping that a secret. It's not like a zombie bite where you see like in movies where they get bit by a zombie or someone has gotten bit and then they keep it a secret because...
they don't want to die, and well, I do understand like that urge to, because you don't want to die, right? But you're gonna die from the zombie bite anyway, so why not?
Why not acknowledge it instead of? So much mysterious shit going on.
Yeah,
it's freaking crazy. Did we learn anything more? Anything else that we can sort of?
Not really. We just got small parts with like the different people when they walked the ship. They split up and walked around on the ship. Where Clemens, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but she said that she was kind of envious of Tove because Tove seemed free, and then she put on a pair of pants, and that was in that time. That would be a no-no.
Yeah, because men invented dresses and
high heels
so that women couldn't run or couldn't escape.
I've heard something similar but different, where it's like high heels were invented by men for women's butts to stick out and look bigger. So I think it's definitely more sinister for women to not be able to run. That was sinister, and but yeah, it was just an interesting notion, like from like
character
in its time of age and everything, like just to remind us that this is supposed to be set in 1899.
Yeah, a big part of what's also in this series is the language barrier, because we have a lot of people talking to each other or at each other in their own languages and talking to someone who probably doesn't understand them, but they're like saying something very important or very personal and kind of just pouring their hearts out. But as you're also saying, like, you don't necessarily need to understand what someone is saying language wise to understand them in another way. Like, you can there's so many other ways to communicate, but it is still interesting, like, seeing these scenes with people just speaking a bunch of different languages and explaining things, and now we're going to do this, and now we're going to go there, and this is the plan, and then everyone just follows along like they understood it. So like I keep thinking, or just keep expecting for people to just all of a sudden just understand each other somehow, even though they shouldn't. And is that a weird part of this whole thing as well, that they are able to understand each other all of a sudden, or like it's just I don't know.
And for the time,
it just sticks out a little bit.
It does. And also for the time period, how the Danes, for example, understand German, that makes sense in a way, because Denmark and Germany, they have history. And there's a reason why a lot of, especially our parents and the older generations, they had German in school and not English.
Yeah, and a better understanding of German.
Definitely. So that would make sense that they're actually able to communicate in German, at least to some part, and not in English, but they still know some English. And also for the Danes not being able to just like speak other languages, for that status, like, because if they were farmers, they were
and poor, and like, where would they learn? Do they even know how to read?
Apparently, because Anker,
he opened the books, and that was another thing, like opening the books, and then it's just what was the sentence, like something?
May your coffee kick in before reality does.
Yeah, that, I'm sure there's something to that.
Absolutely.
As well.
So, yeah, that's. So
but he was like a priests. They were like if we go back many years, they were some of the only people who were able to read, because they needed to be able to read the Bible. And
they also, but I think that's way back. Way past. There were definitely still like people in around that time were not, like, they didn't go to school, for example. So they wouldn't learn, and priests would use it to their advantage, because then they would keep the people stupid if they couldn't read. And another thing with the whole language thing, as you said, like, languages, like the words, the actual words, it's such a small part. I think it's around 7%, if I remember correctly. 7% of a language, or like communication, like understanding, is the actual words, but then there's like intonation, and there's like mannerisms and mannerisms, like body language is a huge part of it. So that scene between Ramiro and Anker, where they sat and he just basically just spilled over with all of this. Ramiro definitely understood what was going on. At least he understood, like, the language, that, okay, this is something sad. So he did say, well, basically, God bless you. And because that was what he got from it, and he got that very, like, tender, like, it's gonna be okay, or your sins are forgiven, or whatever. And Anker also understood the actions rather than that. So I also think it's very beautiful and very nicely acted, this whole, because the language barrier is definitely there, but
they still understand each other to some degree. To some degree,
yeah. But I still think, like, they could have made so many jokes about this, and I would like some more levity. But perhaps it's just because my brain is so overworked at the moment that
just break the tension a little bit more, please.
Also, because it's so easy to do, like, language
barrier jokes.
And then I've loved Angel, I think, because he's not only is the actor, it's just the way that he's speaking and the way that he's like, I think he's hilarious just by,
the way that he's saying and doing things, and like most of the stuff that we've gotten from him in this episode and the previous one is just, what the hell is going on? Someone explain that. So like, what's that? What the fuck?
Yeah, and I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's just like the audience at that point, or in that regard, where it's just like, what the hell is going on?
I would love to make to know more about him. Like, I really want an episode at some point that focuses in on him and his relation, like his past. Because I think he's hilarious. I think he's such an interesting character. He's like, if not my favorite, then one of my favorite characters of this.
We might get that, but there are 2 episodes left in this season, and then surely we are getting more. I think they've planned 3 seasons, just like Dark.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanna add to that before we get into Danish word of the day?
No, I think I'm done.
Yes. So it's a bit of a boring one this time around, but at least, as we've done up until this point, is translate the title. So this one is The Pyramid, and it's fairly straightforward with that one. Pretty simple.
It's pyramiden.
Mm-hmm.
It's so the thing is, the Y, it's a pretty specific sound that I don't think there's a lot of languages that actually have this sound. But at least like pyramide.
Pyramid, isn't it the same?
Pyramid, then it's like an I sound, or like a.
Oh yeah, okay.
Danish.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Pyramiden. Pyramid, pyramid, yes.
And we have this soft D sound. It's a bit like, it actually sounds like the when you say it, like.
Yeah, the.
Yeah, but pyramiden, like that's then this basically a
soft D, just like we would. If you all know the actor, you would probably pronounce his name Mads Mikkelsen, but we say Mads Mikkelsen because it's a very soft D. Mads.
Yeah, but that's almost, even like
that's almost like it's silent. And
it's silent.
Yeah, and we don't pronounce it. But either way, Danish word of the day. Pyramiden. So en pyramide is a pyramid, and pyramiden is the pyramid.
Again with the article, yeah.
Yep. I think that's gonna do it then for this reaction and review of 1899 season 1 episode 6, The Pyramid. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you as soon as possible. Bye.
Bye.